Hey guys, welcome back to another video. So today we're featuring once again the Field Company number 10 cast iron Dutch oven. Now if you guys do recall, I did already do an unboxing video of this Dutch oven, but we had some issues, so I didn't really dive deep into that review, into that unboxing. So in this video, I have the replacement that I just received from Field Company. This one would technically be the third exchange that I received from Field Company. So I'll be honest with you guys. I feel like I'm being a pain, and perhaps I'm going overboard. I don't know at this point. I asked my wife for some advice, and I asked her if I should completely just be open about it or if just hold back. And she said, "Well, I think your reviews need to be as honest as possible, and I think your viewers would appreciate that." So the first thing that I do want to say is that Katie, which is actually one of the Field Company owners, she was the one that was doing all of this processing for me, and I was communicating with her, and throughout the whole time and the conversations we've had, extremely polite. So that whole experience was just a very pleasant one, and in that sense, I highly recommend Field Company. She sent me photos prior to her shipping me out a Dutch oven. So what she did was unbox this one for me and asked me if this one would be okay. So this one looks and feels a lot better than the other two. So I'm happy with this, and I'm very excited to finally have it in my hands and finally being able to use it soon. So with that being said, let's get started. Somebody said, "Hey, you're doing that all wrong. That's not how you test for flatness on any piece of cast iron cookware." He said, place a card here and that'll show you true flatness. And to be honest, not exactly, because this card is a lot smaller, so you can't really test for flatness on this. Here you can see that on this card it looks flat. But if you place the, once again, if we place the ruler, you can see that there's a slight outward bow on the center where the Field Company logo is at. You can see it, and the outer ring is deeper in a sense, so this one's got a bigger gap than the center. So that's what I was referring to. Now, why was I having such a cow about that? I don't own an induction, but I do have a electric stovetop. They can warp fairly easily, especially in bigger surfaces. When you have a bigger surface area, it's easier for it to warp. And if you guys have seen, and I've talked about Uncle Scott's Kitchen, but if you guys have seen or follow him, he explains it extremely well. And it's just thermodynamics. It's the physics of the metals. And what happens is that when you heat up a metal or anything of that nature, you heat it up, what ends up happening is that the molecules of the whatever it is that it's being heated up, they tend to move. The molecules tend to move around a lot quicker, versus something that's cold. They tend to move a lot slower. So those molecules, there's no expansion. On the contrary, they get tighter. So with heat, they expand, and that's what happens with the metal. The metal will expand, and it has to go one way. So if this already has a downward bow, that expansion is going to go, and it's going to take the path of least resistance, which is going to be downward bow, which can cause this to become a spinner. That is my biggest concern. I don't want this to be a spinner, specifically if I'm going to be using it on a stovetop. And as I mentioned, I do have an electric stovetop. And some of my pans, and I've seen it before, they can and will warp. So that's one of the issues. That's why I had such an issue with the first two. I have a Field Company number 8, and funny enough, it's actually a seconds. And at first I couldn't find out why it was considered a seconds. But now that I've been inspecting it, I think I know why. So this is the Field Company number 8 Dutch oven, and I will place a ruler on this as well so you guys can see what I'm talking about. So if you look at the center versus the outer ring, this one sits completely flat, or is completely flat. There is no concave that's pointing outward or inward. It is flat. You can possibly see it better like this. So there is equal amount of distance here in the center and the outer ring. So that is what I'm talking about, and I hope that you guys can see that. But that is, you know, this one here, funny enough, as I mentioned, is a seconds. Oh, and I'll show you why it was a seconds. In my opinion, I think this is why, because I've looked over it, and when I received it, I was like, there's nothing wrong with this. Why would it be considered a seconds? But if you see here, there's actually somewhat of a ghost mark. And I want to say they had the 5 quart or 4.5 quart stamped here, perhaps in their earlier prototypes or earlier models. And in this one, when the light hits it just right, let's see, you can see a little square right here where my thumb is at. That, I think, is what makes this one a seconds. But because other than that, this one's actually fairly in great shape, even though it's a seconds. Okay guys, so I do have some other Dutch ovens here, and this is a Finex 7 quart. This is the Field Company 7 quart, and the largest one would be the Smithey 7.25 quart Dutch oven. And these are fairly all new. So Finex, I think Finex brought out their Dutch ovens first, and then Smithey brought out theirs, and Field Company was somewhat last to bring theirs out. These, as I said, are fairly new. Now, 7 quart, 7 quart, 7.25 quart. First thing that I want to say is that the Field Company is actually, the bottom base is actually the lightest. This is just lightweight, easy to maneuver. And we'll weigh this in a minute, but this is just easy to handle. The handles are in a great shape. The lid on this, beautiful as can be. Here's the underside. And just so you guys know, this lid also fits their number 10 skillet. So I can use it with this Dutch oven, and I can also use it with the number 10 skillet. The Finex here, the lid is actually a bit less heavy than the Field Company, or at least it feels like it is. But just a very awesome design as well. The reason being that I showcased this one next was because it's the closest to the Field Company. They're about the same in all aspects and dimensions. The Finex cooking surface is about 9.5 inches, and the Field Company is 9.25 inches. The Field Company is about 1/4 to 1/2 inch taller than the Finex. So overall, very similar dimensions, but I'll say this one here is, the Finex is just heavy as can be. Yes, it's robust, it's heavy, and this one will hold some heat. It's a lot harder to manage, I'll be honest. It's harder to manage, but the handles are great. And if you're going to be cooking with this on the stovetop, the stainless steel coil handles do tend to stay cooler longer than the other ones. So the Field Company will get a bit hotter quicker than this one here. But as I said, other than that, fairly the same. Weight wise though, the Finex a lot heavier. I want to say it's probably the heaviest out of the bunch. But with that, let's move on to the next one. Okay, the next one is the Smithey 7.25, so 7.25 quart Dutch oven. And so with the Smithey, the biggest difference is the height. This one is a bit more shallow. Also, it is wider. So we're looking at 10.5. The Finex and the Field are roughly the same. The Field being the smallest, being at 9.25. The Finex is 9.5. And the Smithey is 10.5 inches in the cooking surface. So a bit more shallow. This one, I think it's about 4.5 inches. Yep, 4.5 inches. The Field Company is, measure that real quick. The Field Company is about 5 inches, and the Finex also roughly about 5 inches. So the Smithey being about 1/2 inch shorter, and 1 inch wider than the other ones. Smithey, also not that heavy, so we're going to weigh these real quick and see which one is the lightest without a lid. Okay guys, so what we're going to do now is weigh the Field Company with the lid, and then we're going to weigh it without the lid. With the lid, that is in grams. That's in ounces. Here we go. With the lid, it is coming in at 14 pounds, 12.1 ounces. So we're close to the 15-pound mark. So yes, it's pretty heavy, to be honest. Without the lid, though, we're looking at 9 pounds, 5.6. And so that's a big difference there. The lid itself weighs 5 pounds, 6.1 ounces. That is one heavy lid. Okay guys, now we're gonna weigh the Finex, since it is the closest in its dimensions with the Field Company. This one is coming in at 19 pounds, 14.1. So this is, I want to say, the heaviest one. And that's with the lid. Without the lid, we're looking at 15 pounds, 2.4. So that's around the same weight as the Field Company with the lid. So yes, that is one heavy Dutch oven. And in differences with the lid, what's the lid? 4 pounds, 11.4. So about a pound less than the Field Company. So yeah, the Field Company lid is the heaviest, I want to say. At least I think it is. We'll see the Smithey in a minute. Okay guys, so let's finally test the Smithey. Smithey coming in at 18 pounds, pretty much dead even, 0.4 ounces. So 18 pounds with the lid, so the second heaviest. Without the lid, we're looking at 12 pounds, 1.7. So the Field Company at 9 is the lightest without a lid. And the lid itself, let's see. We're looking at 5 pounds, 14.6 ounces. So I want to say it's the heaviest lid. Yeah, it is going to be the heaviest lid out of the bunch. Do I recommend the Field Company number 10 Dutch oven? Yes. Now, I will be doing some cooking with this, so look forward to that. This is the second part of the unboxing, and even though this one is not necessarily perfect, I do want to say that obviously I know that cast iron cookware is not going to be perfect. There's going to be some flaws to it, whether it's pitting, whether it's little defects from the casting itself, here and there. Obviously, it's not going to be perfect, but with all that, I know they put in a lot of work, and I do like that Field Company is taking the time to machine their iron, to design their iron in a very unique and modern process. So I do like them for that. So I'm not giving them just props just because a lot of people like Field Company. No, I'm giving them props because they deserve it. They're doing a great job with their cookware, and I don't want to sound like I said, someone that's just being obnoxious, but yes, I think their quality control has diminished just a tad, but that's not to say that their quality isn't there. It's still very high quality, and I do, like I said, recommend Field Company a lot. And with that being said, I hope that you guys find this video informative. If I left something out, anything that you guys want to know, please ask me in the comments, and I will catch you guys in the next video, and thank you guys for watching.